What's going on, guys? It's your man Ed Hayes here, back for another video. And guys, everybody talks about acquisition. They talk about how to lock these properties up, how to get them under contract, how to have that conversation with the seller and be persuasive, etc., etc. But no one ever talks about dispositions. No one ever talks about how to actually sell that deal off to a buyer at a high probability. Like, how do you actually have those conversations? What are the steps in the process of actually dispoing a deal? That's what I want to talk to you about in today's video, guys. So let's not waste any time. I kind of want to just get right on into this thing, and it's going to be raw, unfiltered. I'm not going to do a bunch of editing and stuff like that or whatever. I got some notes right here, and I'm just going to get right on into it, guys. So what I want to do is that I want to kind of piece this video into like 3 different sections. Okay. So you got like your marketing of the property. And like the kind of like the pre things that you have to do before you can actually send it out there to buyers. Then we've got like our actual process. Like, this is exactly what me and my team do to actually market our property, like the exact platforms, everything that we do on those platforms to actually get our deal sold. And then next is going to be like that back end or whatever, like actually negotiating with the seller, maybe get price reductions, actually talking to the buyer, and what you actually need to do to get this thing to and through the title company. Okay. So the very first thing that we're going to be doing when we get a property under contract is that we want to go ahead and get that property into title as soon as possible. There could be issues that come up, such as like lien issues, taxes. Maybe there's another person on the deed or something like that. Sometimes there's going to be issues that need to get resolved before the property can actually be purchased. And now that putting it into title is essentially going to allow the title company or attorney to run a title search and ensure that the property can be legally sold. So that's going to be the first thing that we want to do with this property once it's locked up. Okay. You're going to want to send an email to the title company or attorney that you're going to work with, and you want to send them over your agreement with the seller as well. You want to let them know that you want to open title on the property at 123 Main Street, whatever the address is, right? Let them know that you want to open title and send them off your agreement. Boom. Now the process has been started. None of these companies charge. Well, the vast majority of companies won't actually charge you for the title work until the actual transaction is consummated. So they'll get paid on the hood. So you don't have to worry about like, oh, well, what if I start up title on all of these properties and the deals don't go through? More often than not, they don't charge you unless you actually close on the deal. There are circumstances or situations where the title company will want their bread though. And just let you know, it will be, sometimes they will try to invoice you for like a portion of what they would have got if the deal actually closed. But getting the property out into title is going to be step 1 in actually getting this deal together. Okay. Now, once we've got the property into title, this is basically like all day one type of stuff. The next thing that we're going to want to do is go ahead and get as knowledgeable as possible about this property. We need the deets. We need the stats. We need to know exactly what's going on with this property so we could be most effective at selling that property. Okay. So we want to know things like the neighborhood, like, okay, what are the really, really close comps looking like? So we can reference 1 or 2 of those comps when we're on a phone call with the buyer. Oh yeah, Pine Street, right? Well, yeah, a property on Pine Street just sold for, 238,000. And that one is actually smaller than this property, this and this and that. We want to know about like little zoning things that can make that property a little bit better. Maybe they're doing some big rehabs or popping a top on some of these properties in the area. You want to let them know, hey, look, this just recently got zoned as commercial, or you can actually put a multifamily here, et cetera, et cetera. You want to know as many details about that neighborhood and that area that's possible, especially if you're virtually wholesaling. You really want to kind of deep dive that market. You want to find out, okay, are there parks in this neighborhood? What's the crime rate in this neighborhood? Like, how far away is it from the closest major metropolitan market? Things like that. Like, you want to be able to know everything about that property. Is there like certain repairs, like big repairs, small repairs that you're gonna inevitably find out about from your buyers? You should know in advance. And one of the best ways to find out in advance is to get really good quality photos and videos so you can actually analyze those photos and videos and stuff like that or whatever, and be able to see, like, really assess the condition of the property and actually reference any repairs, et cetera, that need to get done inside of the house. So that's going to be like kind of like step number 2 is just getting as knowledgeable as possible. You need to know what's going on, because the more that you know what's going on, the more you can counteract anything that a buyer has to say. If they're like, oh, XYZ is messed up, you're like, yeah, I know, but da 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 da. And also this factor, this and this and this and this and that. Things like that or whatever. You gotta be knowledgeable, because your ignorance will shine when you're talking to these buyers otherwise, I promise you. All right. Now, the next thing that you're going to want to do is go ahead and package up that property. This is all still like that pre-marketing stuff. You haven't even marketed the property out yet. That next step is going to be actually packaging up the deal. All right. So you're going to have like basically like your marketing proposal or like your marketing package, right? So you want to basically have like the address, beds, baths, square footage of the property, square footage of the lot, any additional details that make this deal special. If it's sub 2, you break all of the sub 2 terms down and things like that, or like sub 2 or seller finance or whatever, you break down all of the terms. And just give them all of the details right there, as well as a link to pics and videos of the property. So you want to just kind of package that deal up so it's really, really easy for you to be able to send it out to people. All right. So that's going to be step number 3. And that basically completes like the pre-marketing aspect of the deal. Okay. So those are the things that you're going to do. You're going to put it into title and get as knowledgeable as possible about this property, preferably by having quality pics and videos. And then you're going to go ahead and package up that deal so it can be sent out to buyers. Now, at that point, we're going to go ahead personally in our team. This is how we actually start disposing of deals. I'm about to give you all the sauce. Okay. So what we're going to do is that we're going to start calling and texting all of our in-house buyers first, right? So throughout the years, we've called thousands and thousands of buyers. And so therefore we have an in-house buyers list that we've already spoken with. We know their buying criteria, and we've got buyers all throughout the nation, right? That we've actually spoken with. So we're going to send that particular property out to every in-house buyer we have that buys in that area, right? Sometimes it's just going to be quick, like boom, oh, this is a John deal. This is a Carlos deal. This is a so-and-so deal. Just immediately we're going to know who we're going to be selling this property to. Other times you kind of have to go through the ringer, then we'll start to call and text those in-house buyers. That's kind of step number 1 or whatever. Before we post it anywhere, very often we can get showings, viewings. We want to get it out there to like our VIP list, if you will, right away. Let them know that we've got something special for them that they can get onto before I send it out to the rest of the market. That really creates some urgency within your in-house buyers. And very often you can get these deals sold really, really quickly if you find a deal that matches what your in-house buyers want. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is that we're going to post that property onto Investor Lift. Y'all know I rock with Investor Lift super, super heavy. They have over 4.6 million buyers and counting inside of their system. So that's the very next thing that we're going to do. We're going to post that property onto Investor Lift. And typically we're going to send out those notifications right away inside of Investor Lift as well. This is after we've already sent it out to our in-house buyers, though. So this is probably like day number 2. These are like days through 2 through 10, if you will, of trying to promote the property after we've already sent it out to our in-house buyers. So we'll pop it onto Investor Lift. We'll send out emails and text notifications inside of Investor Lift. And then we're going to post that property onto ForSaleByOwner.com as well. That's been another site. Granted, there are a lot of wholesalers on ForSaleByOwner.com. Like the people that actually reach out, very often they are wholesalers. Kind of keep that in mind. Another location that we're going to post the property is going to be Facebook Marketplace. We're going to post it onto Facebook groups as well. We're going to post that property onto Craigslist. And I'm typically going to post that property onto IG as well, or Instagram. All right. So, and like I said, like I'm going to email and text those Investor Lift buyers as well. This is all like day 2. Like typically we're going to post it on every platform possible on day 2. If we haven't found an in-house buyer that was interested in day 1. Now on day 2 or whatever, we just posted it on all of these different platforms, right? Well, you're going to be responding back to anybody that's reaching out to you throughout the day, that day, and days going forward or whatever. You're going to make sure that you try to be as responsive as possible when people are reaching back out to you about the property, basically. All right. So, basically about like every 3 days or so, we're going to renew our Craigslist post. And about every 4 to 5 days, we're possibly going to do a price reduction on the property. All right. That's on Investor Lift. Like when we put it onto Investor Lift and on Facebook Marketplace groups, every place that we post the property online, if we do decide to do a price reduction, we price reduce it universally across all the platforms that we put the property onto. That's very, very important. You don't want to have a property out there for $50,000 on one website, and then you got it for 45 on another one, and the buyer just so happens to see the cheaper price. They're going to try to talk you down. All right. So kind of keep that in mind. You got to remain consistent with this stuff. Now, the most important thing, now we've posted this property on all of these different websites, right? What's the goal? What's the goal? Ultimately, we want to get the property sold, right? But even if we don't get the property sold, what's the next most important thing that we can do while we're having those conversations? The next most important thing that we can do is go ahead and get feedback. We need as much feedback from these buyers as possible. So if you are talking to them, right, try to get a number out of them. Like try to find out exactly why they don't want to make an offer, or why their offer is as low as it is if it doesn't meet what you actually need to get it under contract for. Get that feedback. Find out what the buyers think. Find out what their objections are about buying the property. There's always going to be reasons if they don't actually want to buy it. So you just need to find out what that is. So if you do need to go back to the seller, you can use the feedback from your buyers to actually go back and renegotiate with your sellers. It's super, super important to get that feedback. All right. And you may have to work with your acquisitions team to be able to do that, where you're giving them feedback. It's like a loop, right? You want to be talking to acquisitions. Acquisitions is going to be talking to you. And so like, as you're marketing that property and you're getting feedback, sometimes you're going to be letting your acquisition team know, like, hey, this is what's actually going on with the property. You need to go approach the seller and let them know, like, hey, these are the real life situations that we're dealing with. I got my inspectors in there and we actually saw this. Boom. So you can leverage that to be able to get a price reduction if need be. And boom, if you already got an offer out of that person, all you need to do at this point is just get the property under contract lower with your seller. So the feedback is going to be ultra, ultra important and golden. You got to work hand in hand with acquisitions to be able to pull that off most effectively. All right. So another way to really increase the urgency in which people would actually go out and do something with the property, right, is by scheduling open houses for your buyers. So for instance, like in salute to what's his name? Steve Francis, who came out to the Dispo day that we just did with Investor Lift last week. Shout out to Steve. One thing that he says that he does is that he likes to post his properties on Thursday and then try to get as much feedback and traction as possible and schedule an open house on a Saturday for all of his buyers. And then he'll have all of the buyers come in, which creates a competition anxiety and it creates urgency. And essentially, he'll tell all of those buyers that they need to put in their highest and best offer by Saturday evening. In general, doing open houses can be a great way to actually increase the urgency, like, and the feelings involved with them making that purchase. Most decisions are made emotionally a lot of times. Like, so if you get them while they're hot, right, and you get a lot of people there, you create that competition. People want to beat each other out. You got a lot of macho men and macho women out there or whatever, and they don't want to lose. So if they see their competitors in there, they're going to be trying to get that highest and best offer in immediately. That's very often how you can even get more than asking price on these deals when you do open houses and things of that nature. Other things to increase the competition level of the deal. All right. So next, another thing. Okay. So around about, let's say like day 17-ish or so, right? Let's say you've had this property for at least a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks. Maybe you couldn't get a price reduction, but maybe you know that it's still a decent deal, right? But you just haven't personally put it out there to enough people to actually get it sold. That's when you want to consider sending that property out to JV partners. I say don't do it beforehand. There's no reason for you to be giving up big percentages of your deals unless you've actively, like really actively tried to put this property in front of buyers and you've gotten feedback and there's like a specific reason why you haven't gotten it sold or whatever. Or maybe you're just not reaching out to enough people. If that's the case and you want to partner up with somebody to try to get it sold, maybe like day 17, day 20 on like a 30-day contract, then go ahead and start sending that property out to JV partners. You can find JV partners on places like Facebook groups like, hey, I got a deal. Would anybody be down to JV? Do y'all have buyers in so-and-so market? Boom. And then if they do, then have them comment down below, send them the address, let them market that property off for you while you sit back and maybe try to go acquire the next deal. But you don't just want that contract to just go to waste, right? And this is Dispo. So if I got a $10,000 deal from acquisitions and I can't unlock those profits, well, hell, I'd rather make $5,000 than end up with a canceled contract. Let's put it like that or whatever. So if I try my damnness, I'll even send out properties to JV partners and see if they can help us find a buyer. Okay. So some money's better than no money. All right. So keep that in mind. Now, another thing that you all want to be considering is vetting your buyers and determining their buying criteria. So this is something that you could be kind of doing in between deals. I do recommend typically have as much inventory as possible at any given time. You want stuff to sell. So even if you got to go on places like Facebook groups, Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, ForSaleByOwner.com, wherever, if you got to go find other people's inventory, obviously ask those people if you can actually promote their properties or try to sell their properties to your buyers. Even if you had to do that, right? You get 5-6 people to agree to let you promote their properties to your buyers, right? You want to make sure that you're vetting these people. You want to be able to have that conversation with these buyers, find out if they're real, find out if they're like, have them submit some proof of funds or something, find out where they're buying, what they're buying, have that conversation with them. And you heard it here first. You'll have millionaires calling your phone, asking you what your inventory is looking like if you do establish that relationship with them in advance. It goes a long way. I really, really mean that, guys. Now, I will say it once again, though. Try to have inventory. Like in 2024, I don't think that you really need to kind of just establish this huge buyers list before actually having a deal to sell. You need to have a deal to sell and present it to them on that phone call. And if they don't want it, that's when you can approach them like, hey, well, if you're not buying right now, you wouldn't happen to be looking to sell any properties, would you? You always want to follow up with that question as well, because they're not playing the game. They're usually getting out, right? So, and maybe they got a whole portfolio that they're trying to get rid of if they are trying to get out. So make sure that you vet your buyers. Make sure that they're real. Very often you're going to have wholesalers trying to act like they're buyers and stuff like that. Look, wholesalers, stop doing that, man. Just be real. Just be real, because you leave a bad taste in people's mouths when you try to front or stunt like you're a buyer and you're just another wholesaler like us or whatever. You're trying to daisy chain the deals out, et cetera, et cetera. Stop doing that. Just be real. So that's why we have to vet everybody that we talk to or whatever to make sure that we're not just wasting our time with another wholesaler just trying to daisy chain our deal out. All right. So another thing that you guys want to be thinking of is having your buyers sign NDAs to go view the property when the seller is still living there, or maybe there's tenants inside of the property and you don't want the tenants to know that the property is going to be getting sold because you don't want them to become a squatter or anything like that. So one of the things that we started doing is having all of our buyers, if this property is occupied, we'll have all of our buyers sign non-compete agreements or non-disclosure agreements. Usually it's like a non-compete or a non-circumvent type agreement, essentially. And essentially this agreement is just saying that you as a buyer won't try to go behind our back and talk to our seller, that you won't discuss price or the property or anything like that or whatever with the seller, that you're going to go in there representing yourself as like our inspector or a repair guy or something like that. And it's just written out on paper and there's fines or like penalties, right? So it's like on paper, like you have them sign like, hey, if you do decide to do this, then you owe us $25,000 per occurrence. Right. So we'll tax them if it came down to it. We haven't actually had to push line 11 on them quite yet or whatever. But hey, if it came down to it, we would. But that's why you want to have those NDAs in place. I'm sure if you've been wholesaling for any length of time now or whatever, you've been in a situation where maybe you put a buyer onto a property, you had them go out to the property, and boom, now they're having a conversation with your seller. You're wondering why the buyer or the seller is not answering anymore. They're basically just waiting you out. They're waiting for your contract to expire. So buyer could have went over there and like, hey, look, this guy he's asking me for a $10,000 assignment fee. How about I just give you an extra $5,000? Boom. And then the seller would be more than glad to get a few extra bucks or whatever and just cut you out of the deal if that's what it boiled down to. Okay. So make sure that you have your buyer sign NDAs before they actually view your properties. All right. So then more so on like the back end of the spectrum, right? Like things that you want to be thinking of. You want to go ahead and be sending out that assignment agreement or your purchase and sale agreement for signature. You could do that through DocuSign via Sign Now or any of these other apps like that or whatever. But you got to go ahead and get your B2C contract signed, whether that be a purchase and sale agreement. If you're going to be doing a double close, we typically do that when we're going to be making a significant amount of money. Significant would depend on the actual property, right? If I'm buying this property for like, it's a sub 2 deal and I'm putting $10,000 down, but I'm making, $30,000 on the back end or whatever, I'm selling it for 40, I'm probably going to do a double close in that scenario. It's kind of proportionate to how much money that the seller is getting. Typically, like if I'm going to be getting more than 10% of what the seller is going to be getting, I'm probably going to try to double close depending on what those price points are looking like. All right. So keep that in mind. So you're going to go ahead and send out your B2C agreement, get that signed, and you're going to send that off to title as well. And then you're going to connect the buyer with title. Make sure that title has the buyer and seller's name, phone number, email, everything that they're going to need to actually process that transaction, right? So you get all of your docs into title. Now, once you've actually secured your buyer, you may have to do some negotiating, but that's going to be for another video. Like we'll get more into like that buyer conversation, if you will, or whatever. Right in this video, I kind of just wanted to give you all the Dispo flow. Like what are we doing from start to finish when it comes to actually trying to get these properties sold, okay? So we're like 20 minutes in now. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish this up. We're almost there, y'all. Okay. So just a couple last things or whatever. The next thing would be finding more JV opportunities to dispose. When you're on Dispo, let's say if you're working on a team right now, whatever, or you're just the Dispo guy and you're a business, whatever it is, then you want to be looking for more JV opportunities. You don't have to acquire everything, or even your acquisitions team shouldn't have to acquire every single property that you all close on that year. Your Dispo guys should be out there acquiring you opportunities as well, whether they be for sale by owner leads, for rent by owner leads, whether they're JV opportunities with other wholesalers, or hell, even making offers on market properties. Your Dispo people should be out there acquiring you inventory as well, because otherwise they're just beholden to what acquisitions has going on or whatever. I'd rather have my Dispo guy out there getting me more opportunities to Dispo, preferably stuff that's already locked up, like JV deals. So that's going to be a great way for y'all to get out here and get more money. Even if it's not like a massive spread on this deal, maybe it's like 10,000 on that deal or whatever. Boom, where you and your team would be eating $5,000 if you help this person just find a buyer. Half the work is already done, right? So you're just going directly to Dispo. You just need people to tell you yes, right? I say go out there, get 3 to 5 people a day to tell you yes, you can JV my deal. You can send this out to your buyers. If you get 3 to 5 people a day that tell you yes, guys, you're going to be having some amazing months out here. And you don't just have to do this stuff in your local backyard. You can go anywhere around America and go find 3 to 5 opportunities. You could pop into the biggest major metros in America. You can be in LA, New Jersey, New York, Dallas, Texas, Jacksonville, Florida. You can go anywhere in America and find inventory literally same day. Within a few hours, you can get 3 to 5 properties. I put that on everything I love. Like it shouldn't take you more than a few hours to get a few people to say yes. So that's a part of our disposition strategy as well. We want to get as many opportunities to dispo as possible. And then like the last thing that I actually have on this list is building your internal buyers list. I think I kind of spoke on that before or whatever, like building up the internal buyers list. But yeah, guys, like that's kind of how we think about and process Dispo out here and whatnot. That's the process that we're going through. That's what we're doing beforehand. This is all the places that we're posting our properties on, and kind of like some additional things that we do on the back end as well to ensure that we're getting the best opportunities. Another thing that we do as well that's not written down and whatnot, I'll probably just freestyle the rest of this and whatnot, but another thing that we do is track our KPIs. You need to be tracking your KPIs for acquisitions and for dispositions. You need to know exactly what what your business is doing. How many buyers did we call today? How many of them answered? How many people did we actually send the property out to? How many offers were made? You want to be running those numbers. You want to know exactly what your productivity is looking like. Then you'll be able to get a clear sense like, okay, when the property is good, every like 5 people that I talk to, one of those people should be making an offer on the property. Things like that. Like you should be able to really analyze and break down all of your numbers over time as you get better. Right. So another thing that I mentioned is a lot of the stuff that we do inside of, oh, you know what? I don't even think I mentioned. There's a couple of things actually that I didn't mention. There's a couple of things I didn't mention, but like a lot of the things that we do are inside of Investor Lift. Like a couple of things that I did mention is calling all the neighbor buyers inside of Investor Lift and calling all the God mode buyers inside of Investor Lift as well. That's usually like another one of those day 2 to 10 type strategies that we're kind of doing and whatnot. We're going to be reaching out to everyone that showed interest in the property, all of the property inquiries, all of the offers, all of the hot buyers, all of the God mode buyers, neighbor buyers. It's just so many different buyers that you'll have access to when you do get Investor Lift. Guys, if y'all not using Investor Lift, definitely check out the link down below. That is one of the sponsors of the channel. So basically, if you use my code Wholesale Coach VIP while using the link down below, they're going to give you like 10% off your order or whatever. So it's a massive savings. It is pretty expensive, I'm not going to lie, but it just gets the job done for us, guys. So definitely check it out for yourself. Also, guys, so all of this Dispo stuff, I'm actually thinking about putting all of this stuff into a course. Like, let me know, like, if you all would like something like that or whatever. Or is that whole course phase thing over with and whatnot? I'm very curious. Like, what do y'all think about investing into like a little course or something like that where I can really kind of go into the nitty gritty of all of the little things that I just talked about in this video, but get a lot more detailed, obviously, or whatever, like giving you all of our SOPs, like the KPI numbers that we're trying to hit and whatnot. Like really kind of breaking down the business, going into the systems and softwares like Investor Lift, showing you how to post on Facebook to get JV deals, how to post your deals, how to package them up inside of Facebook groups or marketplace or Craigslist or ForSaleByOwner.com, actually going into all of those platforms and showing you what it's like. Let me know if that would be helpful for you all and whatnot. I don't know if people still use courses. Like I don't watch a lot of advertising or whatever because I'm just busy and I pay for YouTube Premium. So even when I watch YouTube, I'm not looking at ads, right? So y'all let me know in the comment box down below if you made it this far. I really, really appreciate it if you can give me some insight on what you all think about that. But yeah, though, man, I think that's just about it. If you all have any like specific questions, comments, concerns about Dispo, I realize that not a lot of people actually talk about this stuff and whatnot. So if y'all got specific questions, comments, concerns in terms of like numbers, strategies, how do you do this? How do you do that? Feel free to drop me a comment down below, guys. I'm going to answer every single question that y'all drop me as long as it's not ratchet or crazy or something like that or whatever. I'll answer every question that y'all drop me about Dispo in the comments, guys. So definitely just let me know if y'all got any questions. Maybe I missed something. I'm kind of going off the top of the dome now or whatever. So, but yeah, man, I hope that y'all staying healthy and staying blessed. As always, man, this is how we Dispo deals in 2024. Take this guidance, take this knowledge, and take it to the bank, man. Let's get this bread, guys. And look, if y'all want more videos like this where I'm kind of breaking down the ins and outs of the business, I've got an entire course on my channel called like it's a free wholesaling course essentially, and you can check it out right here, guys. All right. And until next time, guys, we are out.